You smell that? It smells like urine, right? Oh my God. Do these people use this thing like a toilet around here? Oh, disgusting. Okay, let's get this done. Let's roll. Today, we're putting two hybrids head to head, the 2024 Honda CR-V hybrid and the 2024 Hyundai Tucson hybrid. Get ready for a showdown where efficiency meets excitement. Let's see which eco-friendly ride will steal the spotlight. But before we do that, special thanks to our great friends at Don Valley North Hyundai. They're a Hyundai and Genesis dealership located just north of Toronto. They're kind enough to allow me to borrow this thing for the day, show you everything you need to know and compare it to the Honda CR-V hybrid. If you want to know more about them, the link will be in the description below. Maybe you want to take that for a spin. Okay, let's talk about the exterior differences. The first thing you notice is the massive grille on both cars. This one has a blacked out fully. It kind of looks a little bit like an X5, I have to say, the way this thing looks in the front and the back side. And then we have the Hyundai on that side, which has the wing style grille with the headlights integrated into it. And you've got a turning signal, a daylight running lights. You have a split headlight as well, bottom parts. A very unique design. So maybe some people don't really appreciate the way it is, but it is, of course, totally different what you see in the CR-V, which is a bit more boxy with standard LED lights on the outside. And this paint choice is really not my favorite thing, but you know what? What can we do? That's all we have. And while a Hyundai on that side in white, it actually looks pretty good, I have to say. And then we have the blacked out rails at the top, the roof. But overall, these two are not competing for the most beautiful CUV in the world. They're just standard daily vehicles, and thankfully you don't drive on the outside, so you don't have to worry about too much what they look like. What you're worried about is that they're fuel efficient and they have tons of space and they have tech features. Let me show you something. This is literally coming off, or something is going on here. Like, come on, Honda, you can do better than that. This one is okay, but this one seems like it's coming off. Not the best quality. Now, let's talk about pricing. Whether you live in Canada or US, guess what? The CR-V is actually the most expensive out of the two. In fact, in Canada, the hybrid Tucson starts at about $40,000. Meanwhile, the CR-V starts at about $43,000. Top trim, $49,000, $46,000 for the Tucson. I mean, it's already kind of like the winner at this point, right? Another thing you care about is space, because it is a SUV, therefore you need the most space. Here's an interesting fact. This offers about 38 cubic feet of space, 38.5 behind the second row. And if you fold these seats over here and then you come closer, you get about 76.5, which is pretty good. But one thing you do realize, because the way this thing is designed, the seats in the second row here, they have a little bit of a bump, so they're not totally flat. But let me show you something else. Because the battery is located around here, you're technically not supposed to open this. It's only for the service center. But let's just say I know someone at the service center. They gave me the okay about it. And there you go. So this is your essential battery. But under here, you're not allowed to put anything because it's not safe for the battery. Therefore, this part over here becomes useless, and you also don't get a spare tire. But I have to admit the fact that they knew about it, and what they did is they included an actual tire inflator over here. So you have this air pump ready to use for your tire in case you get a flat tire, which is really nice and handy. You have to open so I can talk first. Open the damn tail. There you go. Press the button. Good man. We can't start the video without that. Thank you. The Hyundai, as you can see, it does offer less space. It's about 37, 36 cubic feet of space behind the second row, and about 74 for when you fold these things here. And there you go. So now you get a good amount of space. And these things actually fold flat in comparison to the CR-V. But let me show you something else about the Hyundai, which I really like. If you lift this part, which has a max load of 60 kg or I believe it's like 130 pounds, check this out. You actually get space underneath here. You can remove this completely and you have all this space. You can make use of it. Also, it does come with a tire mobility kit in case you get stuck somewhere, and here you go. Air pressure, sealants, which is nice. I didn't see a sealant on the CR-V, but this one also has a nice screwdriver, which is cute, the whole package. And you've got 2 recovery tow hooks, which again is really nice and handy. But what I'm about to show you is even more important. Once you remove this foam, check this out. There's more space underneath here, which makes it even a better choice. In fact, you can move everything further down because you've got these sliders in here that you can see and make it even larger. On top of that, if you look carefully on the side here, there is one on this side and there is another one on that side. Because the battery in the Tucson is not located in this area, it's actually located over there. Therefore, this part here gives you more space underneath in comparison to the CR-V, which I think is a bit of an advantage for the Tucson. Let's talk about what these bad boys offer under the hood. First, the Hyundai Tucson. This one uses a 1.6 liter inline 4 turbocharged engine. It makes about 226 brake horsepower, but shockingly, it's not a CVT. It's a 6-speed automatic transmission with different driving modes, which I think is quite nice because most hybrids come with eCVT, which is some people don't really like. Fuel efficiency. It is rated about 38 miles to the gallon for highway and 38 miles to the gallon for city drive. Nothing you need to know, this uses a 1.56 kilowatts hour battery, which is located underneath the second row seats in comparison to the CR-V. And it's got a single electric motor in the front, which essentially powers the system. Now, the next question is, what does the CR-V offer? The CR-V, first thing you notice, you've got these dampers on each side for better accessibility, which I really appreciate because you don't get that in a Tucson. Under the hood, this bad boy uses a 2-liter inline 4 naturally aspirated Atkinson engine in comparison to the GDI over here. This one makes 204 brake horsepower. It is all-wheel drive, and it does have a CVT, which usually people are not a big fan of it, but they're supposed to be good for fuel efficiency, which this has a great rating at about 43 miles to the gallon for highway and 38 for city drive, which is quite impressive. But one thing you need to keep in mind, it's always with you. The driver is so important when it comes to mileage because the more aggressive you drive, of course, the more fuel you're going to burn, and even a hybrid wouldn't help a bad driver, let's be honest. But this one uses 2 electric motors, and as we saw, the battery is located all the way to the back, which I think is very good for weight distribution. So you kind of have weight in the front because of the engine and then weight all the way to the back. The Tucson has it sort of in the middle for the battery. Let's move into the second row. I mean, the first thing you notice right away is that this thing opens like 90 degrees. There is heated seats button located on the door panel, and you can fold 60-40 the second row seats. Now, let's jump inside. I've put the seat in the front as if I was a driver. Nice space overall, pretty good. CR-Vs are pretty large. The new ones are pretty large on the inside. Tech features, we've got 2 USB-C ports in the center. This one doesn't have a pocket here, but the passenger side has. What's up with that, Honda? Stitching, nice kind of like yellow and orange for the seats, which I like it. There's no panoramic roof. There's just a sunroof in the front. There's a light over here, and that's about it. Oh, and of course, the standard armrest, which pretty much every car has. Now, let's jump into the Santa Fe. I actually meant the Tucson. Apologies. Moving on to the Tucson, not a full 90-degree door, but it's still okay. We have buttons over here for the heated seats, which offers you 2 stages in this case, and you can fold the seat with the lever located onto the side. You can also adjust it a little bit. You can move the seat back and forth, but that's okay. Now let's jumping into the back. First thing you notice is that this has a panoramic roof all the way across, which is pretty nice for this package. And then we've got 2 USB ports in the center, air vents. And you do get the side pocket here, the rear pockets that you can make use of for both passenger and driver. Not sure why Honda would do that for the CR-V. Space. It feels a little bit roomier here. Leg room, headroom, slightly more in the CR-V, but that's because that doesn't have a panoramic roof. So here you're sacrificing a bit of a headroom for that beautiful glass at the top. Overall, it's nice, spacious, comfortable, nice leather, beautiful color. Kind of like this bright white a little bit, but that's about it. Now, let's jump in the front of the CR-V. Aha, I said it right this time. Okay, into the CR-V. Power seat for the driver's side. That's actually nice. Should be standard. Let's start it up. First of all, this doesn't have crazy techie features, designs. It's a Honda. It's literally like a Honda. The interior, it's pretty much like a Honda. Nothing insane about this, which I don't really care, to be honest. At the end of the day, these things are just daily vehicles, but you don't get a lot of tech features, I must admit. Like, for example, this is a tiny little screen. Then you have semi-digital cluster, no heads-up display. There is a heated steering wheel. There's cruise control in this case. There is a wireless charging pad, which is nice. And that's kind of like what you get. Of course, heated seats in this side. Passenger also gets power seats. I do have to admit something. The seats in this car are really nice. They're kind of like deep down, a bit of a bucket style in the center, but they hug you nicely, which I really appreciate. Now let's talk a little bit about this area here. Nice steering wheel, pedal shifters in the back, mostly for regeneration in this case. You can adjust the steering column manually. It does give you a bit of an extension, so just enough for you to work with. And that's about it. Now in the center, there's this small screen. I think this is like an 8-inch, 9-inch, doesn't really matter. It is touch screen, but you still get buttons on the left side. And that's about it. It's pretty standard. There is a power flow, which is great. Shows you the range, what you're getting for in terms of liters per 100 kilometers in this case, because we are in Canada. And there is a backup camera with some modes, but that's about it. And it's not too crazy, not super tacky. It's very basic. It's a Honda at the end of the day. It does the job fine. Then there is a climate unit underneath here, which is in this case a dual zone, which is nice and helpful. There is a USB port and a USB-C port, and that's about it. There's a shift knob here, which is nice, easy to use. I like these. These are perfect. I don't need stupid buttons. I'm not a fan of them, generally speaking. Then you have your driving mode, downhill assist, parking over here, automatic, and brake hold, and that's about it. Into the Tucson. I didn't say Santa Fe this time. Interior. I mean, this thing is a Hyundai. They love to go the extra mile to make the cars a little bit more futuristic. They love the glossy black on the inside, make them look different. I mean, look at the steering wheel. It doesn't look like anything out there. It's very unique to Hyundai cars. They love to make different designs. They design the cars to look differently. Even the seats are slightly different. They're not as bucket, but they're large. That's one thing I noticed with it. When it comes to tech features, this thing is pretty loaded, even being a hybrid. Like, for example, you get ventilated seats in this here, which is something you don't get with the Honda CR-V in this case. But let's get into the details and let's start this thing up. Let's start it up. Of course, this is hybrid, so it goes straight into the electric motor in this case. It says ready to drive. And here we go. We have a digital screen in this case. The steering wheel, it's nice and grippy. It's got a butterfly design, which you've seen this before. You can adjust the steering column. It actually goes really far forward. Look at that. And then all the way to the back and then up and down. It feels like a little bit heavier to adjust. Maybe it's not broken in yet, but that's about it. The screen, of course, it's nice and handy. You've got those cameras when you turn left and right. Again, a lot more tech features in here that you'd find in the Honda. And you've got the cruise control and the steering wheel with lane assist. This is kind of like a self-driving car in many ways. Not fully, but it will hold you within the lanes. They do a great job overall. And then we've got heated steering wheel. Now, in the center here, this is your standard massive screen for this vehicle. It doesn't receive the new updated interior that you see in the Santa Fe, for example. But again, it's just a user interface change in that case. Everything is pretty much the same. You also get quiet mode for essentially your music, so you don't have to disturb your child in the back, which is nice and handy to have. And Blue Link, you can connect your phone. Climate unit, you get two choices, the top part and the bottom part. So you have access to both sides in case if this thing breaks. You have usability, you have access to that. Then there is the hybrid modes here showing you the range, where the power is going, the fuel efficiency, and so on. Built-in navigation system. And in this case, this does come with a 360 camera. Again, more tech features overall in comparison to the Honda. Different view as well. And here we go. In here we have more buttons. I'm not the biggest fan of this, to be honest. I kind of like just a shift knob. Some people are okay with it, but I would take this over, let's say, a Maserati Grecale buttons, which I'm not a big fan of it. These are actually pretty easy to use. They're reverse, neutral. They're pretty quick. They react nice and fast. And then you've got your different driving modes and different terrains, because this is a Hyundai, so therefore it can go a little bit further when it comes to the driving experience. And then we've got heated seats, ventilated seats, in this case heated steering wheel, then easy access for your self-parking mode. This helps you park your vehicle, which is nice. This is not too large, but whatever, it's there anyways. 2 cup holders, there's a wireless charging pad and 2 USB ports, plus we've got the cigarette lighter, which again is nice and handy. So you do get overall a bit more tech in the Hyundai Tucson. Okay, let's go for a drive and let's talk about the Hyundai Tucson, how it drives. Right now I have it in the Smart Drive. Actually, let's move it into Eco. Doesn't even have normal. Okay, Smart Drive. And we can take a look at how this thing drives in this mode. First thing you realize with this is the current switch between hybrids and the motor. Put your foot down. It's got power. Hybrids are terrific vehicles because they offer so much in terms of range, and they're the best of the two worlds. Plug-in hybrids are even better, but of course they're pretty expensive. And another thing you need to know is the fact that the Tucson does offer a plug-in hybrid option, something that the Honda CR-V doesn't. This thing gets comfortable. We just went over a bump over there and it took it nicely. You put your foot down. It charges quite a lot because through braking is one way that it does, and also when you release the throttle, it does exactly that too. You put your foot down and now it's kind of like driving mostly on petrol. Foot it down, there you go. All 4 wheels are getting power. It's comfortable, it's not that noisy. The engine, you don't hear it as much. The road noise is not even noticeable in this thing. I love these cameras that turn. It's such a handy thing to have in these vehicles. It gives you better visibility overall, and that's one thing that I love about these things because of that feature. It's a useful feature, and I've said this before. You put your foot down. That's smart mode. Engine revs pretty high. You press the brake, and it's almost fully charged just with a little tap. That's one thing you notice, and then it's slowing down now, and it's essentially doing most of the work while you just let the throttle pedal just go, and it's perfect. The battery is a half a charge right now, and it's showing me 7.5. I'm driving a bit of like a maniac, and in the standard it's telling me right now 3.3 kilowatts use of the motor and how my average fuel efficiency is doing. Now you're driving mostly in the city drive right now, so something to keep in mind. Let's put it into eco mode, how that works. One thing I'm noticing, like all the 4 wheels are moving, so it doesn't feel like a front wheel drive or a rear wheel bias at all. The switch between hybrids and the petrol engine, it's actually very, very smooth. You don't even feel that move. Into the Honda CR-V. First of all, I like this screen here. It's showing this constantly. And we're braking. I'm gonna put this in eco mode to see how that's gonna do. So right now it's telling me 2.5 liters per 100 kilometers. That's pretty insane. Range is nice. It's fully EV right now at this point. and I have the drivetrain, so we can see where the power is going, mostly to the wheels. That will understand how this system works. Put your foot down, and the power is going on 4 wheels. I like how those RPMs turn on as you're going up and you put your foot down on the pedal. It's nice. And you can see where the power is going mostly. I have it in drive mode, transmission, eco mode, and we can see here actively where the battery is working mostly and where the engine is contributing a lot. Like, these little things give you a very good idea of how to use the system and how to get the best fuel efficiency out of it. You really got to be very softly on the throttle in these cars. You don't need to brake hard. The regeneration will do it. Right now I'm going to use the pedal so that I can, there we go. You can decrease and increase the regeneration through the pedals. This is the best thing about EVs, is that they make use of every single way in terms of fuel efficiency and in terms of the actual system. So that way nothing is wasted. I love it. Absolutely love it. You put your foot down and the engine turns on and you can hear it. You don't hear the engine in here at all. In fact, it's about the same as the Tucson. When you put your foot down, a little bit at a higher RPM, but overall it's really efficient in terms of the noise. I like how this thing drives. It's comfortable too. The steering is soft. It's a great system overall. And you let your throttle go, and look at that. Put your foot down, let go, and it's charging right now. Brilliant technology, I have to admit. Okay, let's wrap this up. Which one is the best out of the two? I mean, at this point, you kind of figure out that the Tucson offers more for the money, it has more tech features. It all comes down to 2 things. First, which one do you like? Do you like the CR-V? Do you like the Tucson? That's usually important too, because we're humans. We make decisions based on emotions. And the second part is like, do you really want more tech features? Because that's what this thing offers. I think personally, for the money, the Tucson is the better value.